All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, April 13th. I was about to trip up once again and say today was Thursday, but alas, here we are. Great to see you, Huda. Great to see Chuck, and great to see all of our members live inside the cyber group room. And hey, if you're rejoining us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back as well, folks. Listen, it is beautiful outside here in Long Island, New York, upwards of high 70s, I think near even 80. So, for what it's worth, the market, if you look on my 5-minute chart here, you'll see the SPY, the S&P ETF. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's, near the highs, a lot closer to the highs than where it had opened up. It's flat though. If it is nice where you're located, these are the types of days where if you make your money early, if you do your homework, well, guess what? You can go out and play. You can enjoy, the rest of life outside, right? So, for what it's worth, if you ended up doing really nicely from earlier today, by 3 o'clock, if there's not much moving, well, hey, if you want to stay at your computer, go ahead. To each their own. We'll be making call outs, but I'd enjoy life. I'd enjoy the nice outside. So Brian says 72 here in Phoenix. Wow, kind of rare that it's nicer in Long Island, especially in mid-April, than it is in Phoenix. By Brian. Chuck says it's really longboard time. He says, "Oh man, Chuck, one of our longtime members." Little inside joke there. Might have to break out the longboard at the end of the day and go for a nice cruise. But for right now, folks, hey, there could be a couple of opportunities. We could see a bit of a push upward within the market by the end of the day. Who knows? We'll find out. But for right now, the CRTD trade, hey, this was moving up actually pretty nicely going into this meeting. Ended up breaking out from like 132, 133-ish, a little consolidation area around the lows, pushed up pretty nicely from that point, right? So, the thing is on this trade is that, of course, it's dancing around that 150 level where, you would assume big resistance, right? But also, if you look on the daily chart, and I'm catching this like really like tip of tongue here as I go, but right off of 164, right off of the peak there essentially from earlier this morning, that was already big resistance historically. So, for the 58, 59 million shares this stock already traded, like we talked about yesterday and the day before, this type of trade's more exhausted than anything right now. So, I'll come back to this at the end. It definitely doesn't do us any harm putting this type of trade on the list just because, it's really liquid, more of a level one type of trade. Virtually any of our members or students at least can, look to trade this stock, with comfortability, right? You're not really expecting a big 30-cent shakeout within a blink of an eye like you can perhaps. We'll take a look now on VERU, right? Veru. We ended up, trading this from the morning, ended up doing really nicely once again on this trade. And I'll tell you, I typically say we as in we, right? Well, we as in everyone but me, unfortunately. I'm really upset about that too. I ended up having a really flat day up until, well, actually just a few moments ago on this VERU trade. I ended up getting like 13 cents just before we started this meeting. I'll go over that entry in a bit, but more so where I wanted to get in. I don't have my lines mapped out. I don't think I do. Maybe I do. Oh, I do. Okay, there we go. So here we go. And these are the lines I set for my pre-market charting, my pre-market preparation. We harp on that so much inside the phase 2 stock course, right? We're going to be doing that actually in 2 weeks from today, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, 10 was a huge level, not just as a psychological whole number, decade type number level, but we ended up seeing, huge print there throughout the course of yesterday. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if it wasn't at 10 on the nose, maybe it was at like 998. But, I was assuming 10 for as much as this was pulling back after the market opened up. You would assume for that to be a really strong bounce level off the first test. So the issue was that it was dropping off so steady at the time. I personally thought it was going to continue to consolidate around 10, kind of dud off, like not really offer us really anything. For as much as it moved up back the last 2 days, it pulled back yesterday, and then today I thought it would continue. Well, I was wrong on that. Man, I didn't even, enter the trade. I was, not really that confident about the opportunity. I thought it would bounce, but like not for like, 50 cents, a dollar, anything of that stature, or if not, even a lot more, right? This ended up making just the ultimate bounce off that 10 level, ended up spiking all the way up towards 1250 and above. So I ended up staying away from this trade ultimately across the remaining parts of the morning. I just didn't know. I just didn't know if I would end up chasing it or if it would end up actually making the move that you see. I know a bunch of us like Ronald W. I know Robert N. ended up jumping in and out on this trade a bunch of times. If not many more of us. I'll give a shout out to anyone that ended up doing well on this trade. Ronald W. At least inside the chat room, as I'm like really quickly looking at the chat board there. He just got 63 cents right now, so that's why I said him. But he got in from 11:42 just moments ago. Hey, I stayed away from this trade myself for a long while. I thought I'd be chasing it. Ended up actually commuting back on home to work home for the rest of the day. Like I told you, it's like gorgeous out. Nicest day out. I mean, since yesterday, you could say, but ultimately across the last like 6 to 8 months, it's been like trash out. So, finally we have a great day. I wanted to work from home the, rest of the day. Well, I jumped back to VERU. So here we go. Finally, I just, get back right around 2 o'clock, 1:45 Eastern time. And it ended up actually making a nice breakout then from the 12 level. Well, topped off at the high there and came back down. But two things on this trade, and it's why I actually got out before we started this meeting. I'm happy I made the decision I just made. But we had a lot of buying off the 12 level throughout today, and I'll bring up level 4 to show that. So just stick with me for a quick moment here. Actually, a bit of an order on the bid currently live right now, but we ended up seeing a lot of volume get filled from the ask here going into 1 Eastern time. We ended up seeing it prior to 11 o'clock here Eastern time. So much like I always ask, myself and all of us, and I teach it that way in class. What happens if history could repeat itself, right? So that was my thought for when this ended up pinning back up and over 12, heading into, I think it was like 2 o'clock, 1:45 ish time, right? Or 2 o'clock. But that's why I took the entry. All right. Well, I got out not just because I did this meeting. Sometimes I take trades during this meeting and they'll look good. Look great at times. Sometimes I'll waste a profit, look like a jackass at times, and have the trade come right back down, and I don't make anything on it. All right, well, I took the money and ran. That's not the only reason I got out, though. We ended up just seeing just before, and I wrote this inside the live trading room just earlier. Hopefully, it's the same reason as to why Ronald took his profit just before. I ended up writing in the trading room, hey, folks, 204, there was on VERU, huge 213K sell print filled in red, filled at 1227 earlier, right? All right. So with that, when this ended up breaking above 12, I jumped in. It was right here where I got in. And then it ended up beginning to top right here. I thought there was a chance it would try and even hit that price, 1227. It didn't. It topped off, I think, at like 22, 23 here. I wanted to give it a little room to see if it would actually, not only test, but maybe even, make a flash pop. No dice. So I ended up getting out at 1213. For what it's worth, why do I bring up this whole elongated story? Well, because I was flat throughout the entire day today. I was actually down like a tiny amount heading into the trade. So I ended up making enough money to push me a little bit into the plus right now. It's been one of those days for me. If I ended up getting the trade from 10 to begin with, it would have been a really, really, really awesome day. But man, hopefully, hopefully there could be a nice trade for us here on this VERU heading into the close. So, for right now, CRTD, I kind of put on the side list. VERU, just given its volatility, it's still, kind of near the highs. It's still trending up beautifully off the lows. And actually, you know what? Let me bring this back up one more time. It's approaching it right now. You could see it on level 3. It's the same exact size order practically on the matrix as it is on my level 4. But 104,000 share order on the bid right off of 1190. It's got to hold. I assume that's going to at least get tested, if not perhaps completely filled. So we'll see what happens, if and when that happens. But, for right now, VERU, I'll slip on the main list. All right. So aside from those two, I don't think there was really too much else that we were following, really intently heading into this meeting. So let's go right from top to bottom. We had a couple of moves from the morning and going into the early afternoon. It's KLDO. I don't know what it's doing here. 38-cent stock. I know that here to begin, but It's a little flat for right now. Nice little pop after the market opened up on this trade. At least you got the BFRI warrants. I'm not going to focus on the warrants as much as I will on the stock, so I'll jump down to number 7 here. Oof. This is a nasty move up and down. False breakout effectively. But this thing was a disaster to begin with. To be transparent, so this ended up making a huge pop at 10:30 off of some news. I'm not going to check at this point, but it ended up reopening up and got halted a few times. So it became interesting at first, and I was following this with one of our students in a coaching session just going into the morning. I think it was Bobby, and we were focused kind of on the fib levels actually, which I don't really break out too often, but every now and again I'll tend to do. So I think it was the retracements on the BFRI I did with Bobby here, just from bottom to top. And you can see how the 61% retracement line, 61.8% held. That's what I was looking for on that trade. But, really what happened was this stock got halted going down right here. And, hey, you don't want to get in on a trade right after it gets halted on the way down. You want to give it at least some breathing room. If not, typically the stock continues to slump off after. So, when it reopened up, it just kind of shot right back on up like a cannon. So, I didn't have the cojones to take that trade there. And, I stopped looking at it from that point, to be honest with you. So, ended up actually making a nice little bounce back up towards that like 525, 530-ish area. And then, just now, I mean, just huge false breakout, snap back down. So I think this one's just done for the afternoon. But nice move, interesting move from the mid morning. All right, CRTD. We'll give it a second look. Why not right now? I said I'd get back to it at the end, but you know what? It's actually beginning to break back over that 150. So you know what? I think it's kind of been promoted to the main list here. All right, nice. You at least got 2. ATRS. I didn't mean to click on. Right away, folks. We know what this is. We know what that is. I'm not going to check the news on that either because we're so certain we know it's a buyout, right? SRRA, a little expensive here, and also same deal. HPK, how about this one? It's at the highs, but like really, big spread, thin book. Don't have a need to put this on our main watch list right now. All right, PLAG, we keep going through. Not a whole lot really happening there. Not a whole lot really happening here, at least in the order book. CRNX pushing up a little bit nicely here on the chart. Nice steady run up from like 27 up to 27.69. Nice chart, but same deal. Like paper thin order book. It's like it almost feels like a summer day. It's that nice out, but we're right at tax point, right? Tax season. So it's mainly that. It's mainly heading into Good Friday, Passover, then obviously Easter. So do we have a great need to put this type of liquidity, on the list? Not really. All right, so we get to the ATER trade. Now, this was a huge runner from earlier today. So, I'll go over this one pretty briefly. I'm not going to bring up Bookmap as much, but I ended up charting this one really well from pre-market. So, hey, folks, it goes to show really quick, but preparation pays off. It's not that I ended up holding on to this trade throughout the course of the day, but, myself and Bobby, we ended up jumping in, or we ended up, watching this at the end of our session. We ended up jumping in separately afterwards. But, it ended up making a nice move after the market opened up. Ended up having a tough time with that opening print off of 498. But between 498 and 5 led to a nice break. And then from there, it was more off of 525. So, we ended up seeing a huge iceberg order get filled from the ask at 525, ended up making a big pop from that point, and then just over time. I mean, it really, it was true. Now, with the news on this stock, I don't think that there was really any company specific news over the last like week or two. If there is, let me know. I could be wrong on that, certainly, but it was labeled, if anything, the more interesting point for me on this was that it was labeled as a short squeeze stock. Benzinga Pro said, like, it was from like the folks over on Reddit, Wall Street Bets, that huge collective, group of like retail traders like us, but just to say, uh, they were saying it's a short squeeze stock. I don't know the short interest on it, the short float, all that, but it really stands true. We've been following it for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. It started popping from under $3 and has doubled up since, if not more. So, ended up making a really nice pop going into the early afternoon. And for what it's worth, although it dropped off quite a bit, it's pushing back up pretty nicely here. So, yeah, ATER definitely, give it a look for right now. I'd rather focus on this type of trade at least. All right, keep it going. Let's see. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to. My scanner's refreshed. Let's see. I didn't click on anything. I thought I did. UEC uranium stocks have been a really good swing trade over the last week and a half too, as well. I mean, the last like 2 months at this point. But UEC, we made mention of that like over the last week or so, right? Last week or two between Fausto and myself. But between this, the quadruple U, and then there was another one. I think it was CCJ, if I'm not mistaken. We'll check all of those out. This one's not looking as good on the intraday chart, but obviously a very similar daily chart for right now. And then the other one, what was it? CCJ, like Bobby J. Pop and drop. All right, nope, not much there. All right, so UEC. Hey, look, this one looks incredible. So, yeah, absolutely a no-brainer to put this on our main watch list. Kind of more of a balanced order book under 650. If it's not just balanced, it's like a fat stack of orders that are, out there under 650. Looks like some of them starting to get filled right now. Huge volume spike actually coming in live right off that 45 price. All right, this could be interesting. Looking at the monthly chart right now, not all-time highs, but it hasn't really been above 6 or even closed above 6 too often over its course. Talking like 15 years worth likely there. Definitely goes on our list for right now. All right, cool. Flip that back to a daily chart in a bit. Let me just see what else we have on the gainer side for right now. We do have the VERU starting to pop back up again. Looks like that iceberg order did hold. I wanted to get back in the plus. So, if that pops, a little bit there, all good. RLX up 10+% right now. It's at the highs. It's at the highs right now. But man, this thing's slow. If you're interested in watching wet paint dry, this is your stock. So, if anything, the thing that stands out before I flip this back to a daily is just the fact that we ended up seeing support get broken through here roughly off of 281, 284. And I don't know what's going on here, folks, with these trades, but like the last two stocks right now, back to back enormous volume spikes coming in right now. Norman, is that you? The trading room? Is that you, Norman? We ended up seeing a huge spike right now, 210. Bunch of shares got bought. Hopefully it's not Norman. Dropped off a little bit there. I'm just teasing. But nonetheless, hey, if it can make another pop back up later on during this meeting, I would give it a look. A little slow for my liking, though. All right. BITF, Bitfarms, another Bitcoin stock we've been following of late between this, Mara, Riot, etc. Kind of a spotty chart. American Airlines, AAL, really flat for right now, so not too interested in it just yet. Hey, after 3 o'clock, when Rich jumps back on the mic, then perhaps we'll look to give it a follow. But, if it ends up giving us, a little bit more confirmation here. This ends up maybe breaking above 1890, or at least testing that 52K order. Maybe. It's had a nice morning. Not BCTX. That might be on the losers list here at this point. But BCRX, this thing is actually making a new HOD as we started this meeting, I think. Right? Yeah, nice little pop off. I don't even know what that is. 1235, 1240. We'll take a look. Let's see if we can. Little old-fashioned tape reading here, folks. Another big spike of volume coming in here. 1245. Looks like a couple of 10K prints at least filled there. Between 1245 to 1250, I would assume, for that range of resistance to be support. So even if it slips down here, just watch that 1245 price. But doesn't look bad. BCRX. All right. I think that just about does it for me on the gainer side, folks. If there's anything else that you see that looks good, or anything that I skipped over, just didn't have a chance to click on just yet, let me know. As I do that, I don't know if I actually clicked on VTGN yet, so this will be the last one, but this actually looks pretty good. Doesn't look half bad, at least. It's a crap daily chart or a monthly chart. It's got a lot of volume for it to break over on the ask. That's the issue. It's trading about 19,000 shares a minute, 20,000 shares a minute, but that's kind of based off the last couple of volume bars there. So really prior to that, it's not really doing a whole lot. So again, kind of a side list stock, a little slow for right now at VTGN. Oh, actually, last one really quick. Then losers list. But to be transparent, I wouldn't expect for there to be a whole lot on the losers side if the market's pushing up as much as it is right now. So CEI, we've been following this for a little while, at least over the last year and a half. So just wanted to give this another look. We ended up seeing this make a really nice run. We were a little late to the party on this trade at least, but ended up running upwards pretty nicely from 80 up towards 87. A little flat for right now, but maybe later on, again, kind of keep it on the side list there. All right, we'll hop on over to the losers list right now. Let's see, we've got the NSTG down big, easy to borrow. I like that. Not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute, albeit the spread's decent right now. It's like not really at the lows really either. It's got a ways to go. It's like super flat the last like 10 minutes. So I'm not really too interested. If this was like more near the lows or even providing any sense of direction here, I'd be that much more interested. But for right now, I'll pass. LQDA shortable, at least on my platform. If there's any other shorts that look good, folks, even if it's hard to borrow on my screen, I'll give it a look. But I just kind of want to skim through this at least first. But the LQDA, it's got an iceberg order here. Maybe that's something to keep an eye on at 525. Bottomed out there just a moment ago, and decent order. So that is a potential setup. All right, I bid on it. Let me look on the monthly chart here quick. Let's see. Not really. It's like just slipping off the highs that you could see there on the monthly, and now kind of spiking back up a little bit. I'd have more interest in the short than the long on this trade. So right now, I'm actually just going to move on. All right, folks, I think that might just about do it for me here, honestly. Again, market's up right now, thankfully. It's been a grinder of a day, but it seems like we're getting a little bit better direction right now over the last, 15 or so minutes since we started this meeting, even 25 minutes. So, that's actually nice to have. I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I was saying there's a chance that could possibly happen, but I'll tell you, that's actually pretty decent to see. If there's any other side list stocks that look good, let me know. Type it in the chat board. That VERU will take one quick look back on because it's already on our list, but just want to take a look to see what happened because a moment ago, I'd say after I got out on the trade, but it did spike back up a tiny amount, moved back up towards 1224, fell 3 cents flat from that big print level. Chuck says hold on, CRK near high of the day. was going to say there's a crypto out there near Aurora blockchain. That's actually been one of our alerts on our high crypto or high yield crypto alert system that we've been doing over the last month and a half. It's actually been crushing, but this CRK is near high of the day, Chuck is saying. So yeah, it's actually pushing up pretty nicely. And not only is that high of the day, but like, look at this monthly. Nah, the monthly. Not looking too great. I mean, unless the stars really align on this and this makes the ultimate squeeze back up towards where we had past support around like, 60 or, whatnot. But yeah, wouldn't hold your breath waiting for that. But at least as far as a day trade, looks better than the others that are on the side list right now. HBK high of the day. Yeah, it is. It's starting to, make a better move on up right now, and it's at all-time highs. I'm realizing actually at the same time here. I'm not a fan of that order book because what goes up comes back down, right? So this is not a stock for any of our, newer students or any of our more inexperienced day traders joining us here. And, hey, I'm as blunt as I am with you folks as I am with myself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask, like, hey, am I really an inexperienced day trader or not? Like, if the answer is yes, this is not the stock for you. If you're more of a, consistently profitable day trader, and again, you have to answer that question honestly yourself, right? But, if you are one, this is making a better move for us to follow then. So, HPK, we'll see if this, if the stars could really align and this could like make the real big squeeze up, all-time highs, right? All-time highs. There's no historical, resistance to work with, right? So, that's definitely noteworthy. BFRI just got some volume, says Chuck. CRTD up from Yehuda. You know what? I think that we're just about good to go, folks. CRTD already on the list. The BFRI, yeah, not really a fan of it just yet. Keep it on the sidelines for right now, Chuck. But worth a mention. Squeezed up a little bit. And now jumping on to YouTube. I apologize because this comment's been there for about the last 15 minutes. How about this? But from Shay Gottlieb on YouTube, perhaps joining us maybe for the first time, asking about MULN long. Not right now. It's too slow. It's like just kind of like on our side list again. Nothing really too special about it right now. I don't know if you're looking at this more of a swing trade, more of like, a little bit of a hold, or is it day trade? Day trade, I don't feel like this is really worthy just yet. Looks like a bunch of volume got filled off the bid recently at 2 o'clock. Hey, if it ends up popping, we'll react from that point. We would love to call this out if this shows, at least a move for us to call out. You know what I mean? I could say that though on a lot of different trades. So, I always say never take offense to, those words exactly because, it's a good stock to follow on the side. But, you could say that with like any of these like, side list stocks like the cruise lines or airlines or, gaming casino stocks from back in the pandemic, right? Vaccine stocks, all of those. All right, folks, we've been going a little extra here. We're going to close up for right now for all of us live inside the trading room. Rich is going to jump on the mic in the next two or three minutes. And then from there, I'll be back on at 3:30. For all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, as always, I appreciate you joining me each and every day, each and every afternoon. If you have any questions that you would like to send on over, feel more than free to do so. I always like to post my email address here at the end of these streams, josh@c2trading.com. And then otherwise, if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, perhaps to continue the audio commentary heading into this close, or maybe even for next week even. I know that markets are going to be closed on Friday in observance of Passover and in observance of Good Friday, of course. So, with that, at least if you wanted to sign up and join for Monday and continue next week, feel more than free to do so. You would have to call our office specifically actually for that, but at least register for our trial. Go right down to the link on the banner below if you're looking to join us inside our live trading room. For all of us there right now, just give me a quick sec. I'm going to copy and tweet the picks out just in a bit. Talk to you soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.